And hello everybody, and a wonderful good evening to you all on this absolutely stupendous Friday evening. I am Super MC Gamer, your host and instructor here at Hyrule Academy, where we talk all about your favorite Zelda lore and fanfiction all the time. Every Friday, in fact, right here at 10 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. And I say every Friday, but we had a mistake last week. We had a mistake, guys. I unfortunately had to take a week off because out of nowhere my internet decided to die and I couldn't bring the stream to you guys, and that was most unfortunate, but it's no matter because we're back this week and we're going to be talking about a very wonderful subject. I hope you're all very excited, and we're going to, of course, be listening to tons of Zelda music, all suggested by you guys, the fans of the show. And I'm really grateful that you guys always like to show me your favorite Zelda songs. It turns me on to a whole new world of Zelda remixes and arrangements. It's a wonderful time every week. Now, first, guys, you must be wondering what that recording was that you guys just listened to. That weird song that had peaking, and it didn't sound the best recording-wise, but the music still it shined. It shined through that bad recording. That was the Skyward Sword medley from The Legend of Zelda Symphony of the Goddesses, of course arranged by the wonderful Chad Sider. If you're listening out there, Chad, which you aren't, I just want to say I love you for what you do, and I hope that one day we can get to hear those sounds in our ear holes once more, and maybe on a CD that you could release. That would be nice, but I know it's Nintendo's choice, not yours. Regardless, let's move on and talk all about our subject of the week, which is the wonderful Impa of Skyward Sword. We're talking all about Impa, this wonderful lady. She comes in Skyward Sword, and she does a lot of cool stuff, and is one of the main characters, and is quite, in her own regard, like one of the first characters in Legend of Zelda to be what she is. She's this tough lady who, like, defends Zelda in a way that is much more active than previous Impas. And of course, Impa is basically a Sheikah woman. She is, for one of the only times inside the Zelda series where we see a true Sheikah who is living and walking about and doing Sheikah things. And Sheikah, she's a Sheikah woman who actually stood alongside Hylia the goddess when they were fighting Demise all those years ago before Skyward Sword or anything like that happened. She was a very strong woman, and it was around the time that Hylia has made this decision that she's become mortal. She's going to try to protect the Triforce by encasing Demise and making herself mortal. She says, Impa, you are going to go through this gate of time, and you're going to go protect the future version of me. The Hylia who is mortal and fragile and able to be killed. That's your job. And so Impa does just that. She goes through the gate of time, and she waits around, and what do you know, out of the sky falls some girl, and her name is Zelda. And so Impa protects Zelda, and eventually she meets Link and tells him quite rudely that she does not approve of the goddess's choice of hero. That Link looks like this ragtag guy who's late and just he's not the hero that Zelda needs right now. And Impa then goes and follows along with Zelda, bringing her to the springs and cleansing her soul and whatever that is, who cares? But most importantly, she fights Girahim. She fights Girahim one-on-one, and while I say fight, she didn't really do much attacking. She mostly made a giant shield, and she lost. She got hit aside. There was some snarky remarks and conversation between her and Link before she travels again through a gate of time, goes back to the past, back to her own time, and she guards Zelda. Zelda puts herself inside a giant orange crystal to uphold this seal on Demise, and so Impa protects her. Impa says, alright, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to sit right in this spot, and I'm going to make sure that you are safe, Zelda. I'm going to make sure you are safe until it is time for you to be freed once Demise has been destroyed. And so she remains there. She waits patiently and until Link arrives. Link arrives for the first time when he just arrived on the surface, and he says, hey, what's going on here? And Impa, this old woman, she's now very old, you don't even know her as Impa until the end of the game, she says, this is where you need to go. You need to go here, this is how you proceed, And she eventually also helps Groose on his way to his destiny. And it's an absolutely wonderful plot that we see Impa in different times throughout the game. It's absolutely fantastic. And eventually she does pass away, but only after the Demon King has been eradicated and her service to Hylia is complete. She has done everything in her power to do what she was supposed to, and only then, once she sees Zelda safe and sound inside her own time, does she say, I've served the goddess, and it is okay for me to go. And she dies. And she dies. That's the way to end a good story. I could tell fairy tales all day here to you guys, and they would all end with "and she died." Sorry about that. Now, guys, now comes the fun part. Now that I've given you guys the backstory, I need you guys to come up with some theories, and let me help you along on what I want to know, what I want you guys to theorize about tonight. First of all, how does this Impa shape the duties of all future Impas? It's very clear, but I want somebody to say it nice and clear for me over inside the chat. And why is she the only Sheikah remaining to help Hylia? If all these Sheikah people helped Hylia in this battle against Demise, why is Impa the only one? Why is she this chosen Sheikah? What makes her special among the Sheikah, and why is she the last one remaining at that time? Also, how does her aging work? Do we know that how much time passes in Skyward Sword? How old is she? What is the Sheikah lifespan? That's what I want to know. And you can discuss all these questions or ask your own right on over at radiohyrule.com/chatroom. I'll be taking your best theories and messages and questions, and we'll be talking about them later on inside the show. But for now, we got listening to music to do. We got some great tunes selected by you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy. So get theorizing. I'll be back in just a few. Welcome back to Hyrule Academy on this wonderful Friday evening, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed that music. It was definitely some awesome tunes. First up, we were listening to Knights of Hyrule from Tony Dickinson and Travis Moberg, and that was requested this evening by our good friend Marmike over on Twitter. Thank you very much, Marmike, for that suggestion. It was definitely a rockin' tune. I'm not usually a huge fan of Zelda songs with lyrics, but this one, it nailed it, and I was very happy with it. It was sung definitely with a different feel than most songs we hear with lyrics when it comes to Zelda 2. So that was awesome. After that, we did hear Gerudo Valley, and that was from Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS, and that was requested by Frosty, who's inside our chat right now. Frosty 10,001. Thank you very much, Frosty, for your wonderful request. It was a great tune. I love that they brought that song into Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 3DS and gave it such a wonderful arrangement. Definitely best Gerudo Valley arrangement to come in some time. Anyways, we're going to be talking more about Impa now. So Impa is this character in Skyward Sword. We're talking specifically about the Skyward Sword one this week. And something actually kind of tragic happened to her in the game. And a lot of people kind of overlook it. At the very end of the game, Girahim attacks Hylia's temple. And it's when we're waking up Zelda inside the present, and we walk out with her, and guess who attacks? Why? It's Girahim. So what happens is Girahim goes up, he shoves Groose and Impa out of the way, and goes back through time. And when that happens, he comes out and he fights the past Impa before continuing on to go do the ritual to face to revive Demise. And when you go through the Gate of Time once more and you find Impa, she's laying on the ground and she tells you to go on, to hurry up, that Girahim just went through there. And the thing that's interesting is if you actually talk to Fi at that moment in the game, Fi will inform you that there is a 98% probability that she sustains an injury through what happened to her. And that's something very interesting to think about, that perhaps this injury forced Impa to become sedentary and have to live here. And while she was there because she was to protect Zelda, maybe that in some way affected her life. And we don't really think about that, but she got pretty darn whacked. She got whacked pretty darn hard by Girahim by the looks of it. For Impa, this character who got pretty well beat if you remember back at the Temple of Time, but she was still able to get up, get Zelda, go through the Gate of Time, and blow it up. For her to be laying on the ground, something bad must have happened to her. And that's something interesting. However, she does live a very long time in the end, but at the very end of the game, something very weird happens. When she dies, maybe it's just because it's a Nintendo game, she doesn't just lay down. She doesn't close her eyes and never open them again. She disintegrates into these beautiful sparkles of light that float upward and past the Master Sword. And it's a very interesting moment, a very particular way for something like this to happen. Like in the games, you don't really see a death like that. And is it just Nintendo's way of making a death child friendly, or could it mean something more? Could it mean that perhaps she's already been dead for a long time, and this was just her spirit remaining there and waiting for Link? Because she never does anything physical as an old woman. The most she does is walk around. However, there's something that disproves this theory that I wanted to share with you. So I've heard this theory before, that perhaps Impa is a spirit. But you're forgetting one thing. One thing specifically. She closes the gates to Faron Woods because of the flooding. And that, I believe, disproves the ability that she's only a spirit. She is this physical matter that's able to close these doors. So, all inside the past 4 minutes, I have been trying to prove a theory to you. I've been trying to prove this theory to you that perhaps Impa died back in the past, and she has only been a spirit. But the thing that's important is I also disagree with that theory, because I believe she was a physical being and she closed the door. And she was holding the bracelet. Very good to a James RCT inside the chat. So I just wanted to share that one theory with you that I've heard online and kind of give you guys my opinion on why it might not be the strongest theory out there. But continue your discussions inside the chat room. I'm having a wonderful time listening to them, and we'll be talking about them here very shortly. So go to radiohyrule.com/chatroom and giving us your inputs. For now, though, how about a little bit more music here on Hyrule Academy? And welcome back to Hyrule Academy, everybody. I hope you've been having a lot of fun. The chat has been storming with messages tonight, and we've been having a great time discussing Impa of Skyward Sword. And of course, we do this, of course, every Friday at 10 p.m. US Eastern Time over here on RadioHyrule.com. This is a special week. I'm actually broadcasting this over on my Twitch channel as well. It's a one-time thing. I've been playing a lot of Hyrule Warriors today because the game, of course, did just come out, and so we've been having a lot of fun. I didn't want to end my live stream, so instead we decided to stream this as well. But don't count on this being an every week thing. It won't be. Anyways, the music you just listened to was absolutely fantastic, and was brought to you by two amazing artists. First up was Travis Lyne's Song of Storms. It's a wonderful piano cover of the Song of Storms, wonderfully jazzy, and it's a pretty well-known song. But our friend SNES T wanted to hear that, so there you go, SNES T. I hope you enjoy that. And after that, we did hear Ganon Battle from the Triforce Trilogy album, and that was requested by the wonderful Captain Trina, who is inside the chat right now, who's been helping us with all sorts of theories and various doings tonight. So thank you very much to Captain Trina for that request. Now we're going to get into talking about Impa, my friends. Let's get into talking about Impa. So you guys have been storming the chat with all sorts of various knowledge and theories, and I'm going to read off some of the best ones from this week. So first off, Captain Trina, of course, busting out the Hyrule story to bring us a little bit of knowledge. So first of all, we wanted to know a little bit more about the Sheikah, and so Captain Trina references the story, which says they are blithe individuals chosen by the goddesses, or the goddess. So these Sheikah people, they are people who are just chosen by Hylia. The Hylia says, you are these people that you are going to help. Not just protect me, but you are the Sheikah people. You are the people who are going to assist the world. And perhaps she helped them become what they are through enchantments or sacred power, something like that. But that's for a discussion that we can expand on in just a bit. Now, when we talk about Impa, Impa lives a very long time in this game, and the Historia says the following: it's possible that she's lived without eating or drinking. And while this was only inside character artwork notes, and it's not officially canon, it is something to think about. That it's possible that this woman has lived inside the sealed temple for so long, and possibly without food or water. So how are we not how do we what do we make of this? What is the power up? And what gives her this power to do this without eating or drinking? Captain Trina says that she would guess that when Hylia chose to become mortal, she bestowed some of her power on Impa. And perhaps this sacred power allowed Impa to live a long life, a sedentary life nonetheless, but a life where she would be able to sit there. She would be able to wait until Zelda was ready to be reawoken. So it's very possible. We could go on that theory, and that's a theory we can fully support. Slowpoke as a gamer wanted to talk a little bit more about the Sheikah, however, and says the role of the Sheikah seems to be protecting the incarnation of Hylia. This is possibly due to the fact that the Sheikah were Hylians that stayed on the surface rather than going to Skyloft. And that's a very strong theory that I was a little sad that we didn't hear a lot about. The option to stay on Skyloft, Hylia at one point said that she needed to set people away that were going to one day be the new people of the land. And so she took a chunk of rock from the earth and she soared it into the sky. And those people became the Skyloftians, and eventually, of course, came down to Hyrule and settled there. But the people who stayed behind, how many of them were there? How many people were in the land? Like, Skyloft's not a big place. Were they all just killed mercilessly? What made Impa stay? Was she this person who was the last survivor? And that's why she was chosen to become Hylia's guardian, because she was just happened to be the last one surviving? Or was she the commander of the Sheikah? That's for you to decide. I don't think we can ever really fully know that without further information from Nintendo. So talking a bit more about Impa, Code Labmaster has a theory. Impa was literally willing to do anything to make sure her duties were accomplished. If there were other Sheikahs were anything similar, then it doesn't surprise me that Impa is the only one left if they were fighting in such a deadly war. So what Code Labmaster is saying is that these Sheikah people, they are very dedicated to their cause, no matter what it is. If Impa's cause and her drive in life was to protect Hylia, she would do anything to accomplish that. And perhaps why we don't see the other Sheikah people anymore is their one cause in life was to fight the war. And so they're so dedicated to their cause that perhaps they all died in the war. And that's a sad thing to say, but it just might be the truth out there, that this happened, that Impa was the only one left. And after everything that happened, it just, she was the only one who was willing to stay behind. And that's a little sad. That's a little sad to think about, but it's a very good theory. Slowpoke's Gamer comes in and says again, Impa seems to be special, more so because she wanted to be so special. She's even willing to go as far as to try to usurp the role of Link early on just to serve Hylia. So that's a good point. Is when I was talking about how she told Link that he was a bad hero, that he was late, that he was not worthy yet. I think that's a very good point that shows a lot about Impa's character early on when she was young. She as a young person, she thought it was her duty to be the hero. She wanted to be this person who protect Hylia, and she said, "You are not worthy of being the hero." And she said it outright. And there was a point where after she was defeated by Girahim at the Temple of Time, perhaps that's when it hit her that everyone has a purpose, and her purpose right now is not to be the hero, but instead to protect Zelda. That's what she always knew she had to do. And we see that similarly inside her later life when she tells Groose, you don't need to be the hero. Groose, you should be the protector. You should stay here, build your giant cannon, and, that's your job. That's your job. It doesn't have to be the one who's saving the Triforce. It doesn't have to be that. And I think that's something that a lot of people missed in Skyward Sword that I've always wanted to kind of, I kind of feel like it's a strong theory that we don't really talk about, that the similarities between Impa and Groose, and how perhaps as a young person, Impa learned that she was not meant to be the hero. She was meant to protect Zelda. And that Groose was not meant to be the hero. He was meant to protect the sealed grounds. And that's a theory that I didn't hear tonight. And I was a bit sad. I was hoping somebody would draw that conclusion like I've drawn before. I mean, it's just a personal theory, but that's just what I'm feeling. No, and Yasutaru is saying the same thing. Impa's saying Link is a bad hero isn't being angry and trying to assert, but an attempt to drive Link to his true potential. I agree. I think that's more so what she was trying to do, but I feel like she wasn't trying to like become the hero, but she was rather saying, you're not a good hero, I'm a better hero than you. It's kind of what I felt from it, but interesting. You guys can run with that all you want tonight. And Yasutaru says the Sheikah seem to be a race that exists not because they do, but they are driven by the life's task, like we talked about earlier. That says it very nicely. They don't exist because that they're just there, the Sheikah. They're there because they're doing a job. If you have a Sheikah in your house, the Sheikah isn't there just to stop by and have some tea. The Sheikah's there to get information, to get things done. You know, I don't ever see a Sheikah just chatting. You don't see a Sheikah just chatting. You chat with old Impa, but she's doing her job at the same time, and that's why I find this interesting. Saifeno says, it's merely impossible that the same Impa and nearly impossible that he is the same Skyward and Skyward Sword or Ocarina of Time. But in both games, she's the last survivor of the Sheikah tribe, so that would bring them to a tribe rebirth, not by bloodline, but by spiritual values. That explains why she trained Zelda to become Sheik. So perhaps what Saifenos is trying to say here is that the idea of Impa isn't really a bloodline type of thing. Is that a Sheikah person is just someone who is driven and is dedicating their cause and is while there's probably definitely a bloodline related. I think that Saifenos has something going for him, that it is a Sheikah's job to do their job, and that's what we've been talking about all tonight. And Impa exemplified that both in Skyward Sword, and we see it again in Ocarina of Time. And is it possible that they are related? Yes. Do I think they're the same character? No, definitely not. There's too much time gap. Mostly because the one in Skyward Sword dies. That's an additional thing, but I'll keep talking. But yeah, just something to think about there. Put that inside your head holes, and think about it tonight. And also, Ripper Steve is going to finish off our conversation on a light note. Can we agree that the name Impa is passed on to the next protector of the Princess Zelda? And that's pretty much confirmed. Impa is a name, much like how Link ends up being the chosen hero, and Zelda is the name of the princess who carries Hylia's blood. Impa is the one who protects Zelda. She imparts her knowledge to Zelda. She protects her. That's what Impa is. That's what Impa's about. And I think that name is given to someone at birth because they are the one whose life goal is to do this. And a Sheikah would of course accept their life goal very easily, even if they were told this is your life goal, because that's what she could do. This is a big topic, and I'm sorry that I had to bring it to you guys, because I know we didn't nail down anything tonight, and that's okay. I think that we had good discussions, and a lot of words and discussion were tossed about, but Impa of Skyward Sword, we've seen her life. Why I wanted to do this tonight was, I kind of wanted to take someone who we know their story. We know Impa's entire story. It's all written out. We see her from a young fit woman to when she disappears into particles. And I told you guys to theorize about her, and you guys had a hard time tonight, and it's fine. And that's what I want to see. But what I did hear you guys say is you want to see how she would affect the future, and we talked about that a lot, about how Impa and Sheikah, what they are and what they do. And I think we did a great job with that tonight. Anyways, I think I am going to wrap this up. We have some more music for you guys, and then we're going to finish up the show with a little bit more discussion. So stay tuned to Hyrule Academy. welcome back to Hyrule Academy. This has been an absolutely wonderful evening of discussion. It's been a very chill evening. It's something that we don't usually get here on the show. We usually have these huge theories that we're tossing about, but this week our theories were more in concept than in theory, and that's okay. That's what I like to hear. It's good to have those weeks where we just slow it down a bit and we think and we process what we have in front of us, even if it is all right there. You know, it's sometimes hard to deal with fact. Sometimes too much fact impedes our theorizing abilities, but that's okay. It was an absolute pleasure to be with you this evening. That's those songs you were just listening to. That was Milk Bar by Swiggles 1987, and that is from the Multiplayer Charity album. It's a very wonderful album. I recommend it so much. Go check out Swiggles 1987. He should have that song up as well as a link to the entire album, and that was requested by the Tunneling Cat. So thank you, Tunneling Cat. After that, we did listen to Tall Tall Heights by Matt Cooper, and that was requested by the one and only Grumblezard. Thank you, Grumblezard, for your wonderful suggestion. I have a talent with rolling my R's, and it makes me happy. It's something that I can't say that not everybody else can do, and it's something. You gotta keep it with you. The little things that make your life unique. And, of course, Impa's life was very unique. She traveled through time. She did her duty. She protected Zelda. She was a little bit snarky, and that's why we love her. She, as we determined tonight, was the one who led on future generations of Sheikah people and those who would bear the name Impa by fulfilling their duty to the world by protecting Zelda and protecting what it means to be a Sheikah. I think that's what we have to remember tonight, is that we've shown and talked about her, and I think that's enough respect, because she's dead. And she's also fictional, but we don't want to talk about fictional characters on the show. Everything is real, right? This is a real academy with real grades and real diplomas, right? No. Thank you all for listening this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure. Next week at 10 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, here this Friday, we'll be talking about Great Fish Isle. That's right, we're going to be talking about an island. And it's an island with some history. It's an island with not only some history, but a little bit of interesting thoughts as well. So get your caps on this week. Start thinking about some theories about Great Fish Isle. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, be sure, if you enjoyed the show, to go to radiohyrule.com/donate and throw a few bucks on over to the Radio Hyrule team. It's been an absolute pleasure for working with them to make the show a reality, and they deserve all of your support. So give them a few rupees. Email me at mc@supermcgamer.com with any requests you might have. And I just want to say thank you once more for your inputs. It has been a wonderful time. I will talk to you guys next week. Here is Forever Yours from Tim Sheesh.